County Commissioners. My name is Luis Venezuela, member of Imperial County. I want to be presenting on behalf of Carlos Quero. Lot merger 00191 submitted by Imperial Valley Computer Manufacturing LLC. The project is located at 2304 Platt Road in Imperial, California, with assessors parcel number 044 220 007, 044 220 042, 044 220 044, 044 220 045, and 044 220 046. Current, the Imperial County General Plan and land use designation for this project is urban area, and the zoning for these parcels are M1U light industrial with urban overlay, M2U medium industrial with urban overlay, and M2U with general agriculture with urban overlay. On the surrounding land use analysis, you can notice that city of Imperial limits on the north, A2U general agriculture with overlay in the city of the central limits on the south, the city of Imperial limits on the east, and M2U medium industrial urban overlay and city of Imperial limits on the west. The Imperial Valley Computer Manufacturing LLC has submitted a lot merger application number 00991 seeking approval to consolidate 5 individual parcels and lay River Road into a single 5.39 acre site to accommodate the future development of a data center complex. The project would include auxiliary infrastructure such as an electrical substation, an on-site battery energy storage system to support power backup, and emergency power generation through a natural gas backup generators. The site is situated on previously disturbed agriculture and industrial lands. Legal and physical access to the newly merged parcel will be provided via ATM Road and Clark Road. The applicant intends to enter into a contract with local municipality to supply reclaimed water for the municipality's water treatment facility via dedicated conveyance system. All wastewater generated by the facility will be treated on-site through a proposed wastewater treatment system. Once treatment capacity is reached, the treated fluid will be conveyed to the Imperial Irrigation District Central Drain located just south of the proposed project site. The next slide shows the existing land use distribution. The next slide shows the proposed lot merger. The next slide shows the existing land use distribution and lot merger. And the next slide shows the aerial view of the project. It is recommended that you conduct a public hearing, hear all proponents of the proposed project. Staff will then recommend that you take the following actions. Find the lot merger number 00991 is currently exempt from CEQA per Article 19, Section 15305, minor alteration and land use limitation, and no further environmental limitation necessary. Find the lot merger number 00191 is consistent with applicable zoning and building ordinances, and approve lot merger number 00191 subject to attached conditions. Lastly, I'll leave you with a copy of the CD map for your reference.
State your name and address for the record.
Good morning, Honorable Chairman, members of the Planning Commission, Tom DeVos, DeVos Design Group, representing Imperial Valley Computer Manufacturing, and the landowners who are seeking, along with my client, Imperial Valley Computer Manufacturing, this lot merger application approval today.
Have you read the entire project and you agree with everything in it?
Yes, we do.
Okay, do you have any further comments before we open this up to the public?
Just a couple, and then I would also like to invite my client, Sebastian Rishi of Imperial Valley Computer Manufacturing up to make some comments so that you can meet him as well. You know, in some of the presentations that I've made here recently, I had a gentleman at the El Centro Rotary come up at the end of the presentation and meeting, and he said, I just retired from the Imperial County prison facilities. Enjoyed a great career. I remember how loud and ugly it was when we were, many of us didn't want those prisons. Not all of us, some of us did, but many did. And today, we're hoping that they don't cut that from the budget. We can't afford to lose those jobs. So, the other comment I'd like to say is that there seems to be a trampling over of one's property rights. Property rights of those property owners that my client seeks to merge these lots for and purchase those lots that have sat idle for decades. Trampling over their rights with current zoning that's been there going back into the 70s and refreshed many times by the county, and recently substantiated by the city of Imperial with its approval of their service area plan showing their overlay of zoning. So we hope that you are able to review the information that's been presented by staff. Further, we have a great appreciation for the county staff in following the law. Sebastian, you want to come up?
My name is Sebastian Rucci. I'm behind this project. I've been here about a year and a half to put this together. So a few things I want to tell you. First off, I completely agree with what the planning staff has stated. Some of the people are very disturbed by ministerial. What ministerial is where you check boxes. I intentionally looked for land where you could check boxes. Why? Because I didn't want to get into a discretionary process where a lot of emotions would come out. Now, here's the thing. Ministerial does not mean you don't take a look at the environment. Number one, you find land that's properly zoned. And the county, unlike a lot of the others, 14 years ago, you've added data centers that permitted use in your industrial zone. This land will comprise about 75 acres. 93% of it is zone M1 and M2. 5 acres, or 7%, is zone A2. That's been a huge issue where a lot of people focus on the A2 and what can't happen there. On the A2 is where we put the retention line. It's a hole that collects water. That's permitted. In the other zones, everything else is permitted. Within the data center, the substations is in the M1. It's a permitted use in the M1. And one of the things that you're doing in the lot merger, you're not changing the zones. They stay exactly as they are. There's a rule that you have that if you have 40 acres or lower and you do a merger, then you pick the most relevant zone. In this case, that would be the M1. However, if you're above 40 acres, it keeps it the same. So that's a big issue in the contention about rezoning. There's no rezoning. Back to ministerial. Ministerial does not mean we don't look at the environment. Let me tell you the studies that we have done and submitted to the county. First, we did a traffic study. A data center, in comparison to all the other uses that are permitted in the industrial zone, is very low level traffic. It has no retail traffic, it's just the workers. Okay. Second thing is we did a biological study. There's no endangered species on the site. We also did an air study, and that air study showed that the backup generators, which are only operated during emergency times, and then when they're done for testing, is very low, comply with all the APCD requirements. Then we also were asked to do a health risk assessment over cancer risks. That also came back negative. Throughout this, we also did a soils report that showed you that the soil can handle this. We also did 2 water studies trying to get reclaimed water from Imperial and then El Centro. Then we also did the grading plan that showed you this is the desert, a lot of dirt is being moved, and it's compliant. And we also did a site plan that showed you how all the components are put together. Then we did the lot merger plans. I'm sure I'm forgetting something. The point is, this process will go on for a long time. I will be happy to meet with residents over time. This will go on for a long time, during construction, post-construction. There'll always be issues. I think the things that are most relevant, because this is a ministerial process, is what are the things you want? The wall, per the county's code, is 6 feet. You want it 8, you want it 10. We could talk about that. The landscaping, we have palm trees that are separated by 10 feet. You want it 5. There's a lot of things that could be addressed in a more non-combative way that's gonna be there. However, I fully respect the fact that the county, because I've been through a lot of processes in the past year and a half, is following what their rules are. Because part of the idea is to change it.
Good morning, members of the Planning Commission, and also the audience that's present here. I have a statement I'd like to read.
Peter
Planning
Rodriguez.
Commissioners, please hear the committees that you come from, be the smart council of the board of supervisors. You are the leaders in the room here. Save the board from yet another doomed project that's punctuated for failure, for sure by some extreme shady background and dangerous resume project proponent has. Think to yourself, why would IBEDC Tim Kelly not properly vet this guy and keep the board out of harm's way? As Tim and the board are now on runway train to danger, please, planning commissioners, be the leaders in this room again. Stop, or at least put the brakes on this strategic pause that is needed. You have 2 more minutes. I think it's deplorable when we use prisons as an example back Tom DeVos said that they're gonna close. He doesn't sit on any boards with the state of California regarding that matter. I'm for sure Governor Newsom would not be happy with that statement. I am not happy with the attacks that have been made on our state senator, State Padilla. You guys are gifted and knowledgeable individuals with knowledge. You know, we've been down this road before, where projects presented before you, high hopes of job creations, and yet 0 home runs, 0 grand slams. It's like, why do we go down this road before? Why are we repeating the mistakes of the past? If there's anything we know about history, if you study history, a lot of world leaders don't because they make mistakes, they always go to war. This committee is in a war that's not needed. It doesn't have to go down this road. You guys know the rules. I trust and respect each and every one of you that's up here. It takes courage to show up to a room full of people. I'm pretty sure you never had this kind of audience before, and I understand that. But you're talking about members in our community have homes here, who have their kids going to school here, and others who cannot attend because of the timing of the meeting. Which is
approval. You cannot approve first and fix ownership later. The Planning Commission does not have authority to approve this merger. Only the Board of Supervisors can vote Lynn Gerber, if I say that right, Road, the approval rezoning. The commission cannot assume those actions will happen. A public road legally blocks this merger. Public roads cannot merge into private property without formal vote by the board. The proposed data center is not allowed under current zoning. Data centers, battery storage, and generators are not permitted uses in this land without rezoning the cups and have not been approved. This project is not CEQA exempt and requires full environmental review. A 950,000 square foot data center, AI data center, with generators and batteries is not a minor altercation. CEQA requires review of the entire project, including an EIR.
Is it the opinion of this commission that zoning from 50 years ago gives developers carte blanche to build whatever they want without due diligence? Fast forward to the late 90s, and something starts to fundamentally change the landscape of the area, the suburbs. The surrounding area has changed a lot since the 70s, and the proximity of this facility will have a major impact on the community that now lives there, including me. Speaking of proximity, the report completely neglects to mention the homes east of the proposed merger, my home. Page 4 of the report specifically identifies the border patrol station, but it neglects to acknowledge the existing residential housing right behind it. Our homes that have sat there for over 20 years now. That omission matters. Under CEQA, especially when relying on a categorical exemption, the environmental setting must be described accurately. You have failed to do that. Selectively identifying non-residential uses while omitting nearby homes intentionally distorts the reality of this so-called merger. I ask you, does the county believe it is obligated to approve every project in an urban general plan area regardless of scale or impact? Does the county acknowledge that modern data centers produce environmental impacts far beyond the agriculture industry of the 20th century? If the zoning is 50 years old, why is the county using that as a justification for approving a 2025 era industrial mega project without an EIR? Is the county willing to publicly state that it has no authority to deny a harmful project on industrial zone land? This facility is set to be 75 acres. The developer has publicly stated that parcels over 40 acres may contain multiple zoning districts. The exception does not convert a complex development into a ministerial act. It does not eliminate the county's obligation to evaluate consistency with the general plan, land use intensity, or environmental impacts. The scale of this supposed merger does not fit the spirit of Article 19, Section 15305 as a minor change. Taken together, these are not small errors. This commission is being asked to rely on a CEQA exemption supported by an incomplete project description, selective land use characterization, unresolved zoning conflicts, and conclusionary findings without evidence. The only rational decision for you today is to stop this merger, and I thank you for giving me my time. Good morning.
Chairman, Commissioners, good morning. Thank you. I'm going to read some questions into the record. I'm not here to argue. I'm here to name what it feels like to the people who's gonna have to live with it. For the record, when you say ministerial, do you mean automatic? Because if it's automatic, call it automatic. And if it's automatic, then tonight isn't a hearing, it's a formality. For the record, if the public speaks, can he change the outcome? Because if a hearing can't change the outcome, it's not a hearing, it's public's performance. For the record, what exact standards are being used tonight? Code sections, criteria, findings, written specifics. Because if the standards can't be clearly stated, then we're not voting on rules, we're voting on trust. Now, let's talk plain English. Why is this merger happening now? Is it because it's harmless or because it's helpful to move a bigger project forward faster? Because this isn't paperwork, it's permission. And here's another plain English question that matters. Who carries the risk if this goes wrong? Not the applicant, not the consultants, not the people who can pack up and leave. It's the families nearby, it's the schools, it's the first responders, it's the ratepayers. So if the risk lands on the public, why is the public being offered the smallest level of review? And if there's a question the community keeps asking, is this merger being treated like it has no connection to what it enables? Because if it enables the next approvals, then it's not just lines on a map, it's the first domino. And if you approve dominoes one at a time, merger now, grading next, utilities later, how is that not piecemealing the public out of a full picture? How is that not asking residents to react after the path is already clear? Now, the city of Imperial sent you a letter yesterday. So for the record, are the city concerns being answered in this decision or postponed into thin air? And they are postponed, where exactly does the public get the real review? And what guarantees do we have it won't be waved away again? Here's my accountability question. What evidence in your record proves this should be treated as ministerial, despite foreseeable impacts and formal warnings? If the evidence is strong, point it out. If it's not strong, then this vote becomes a leap of faith, and the community is the one forced to live with the consequences.
My name is Hector Baez. I've been a lifelong resident here of Imperial County. I've also been forced to go as far as Bakersfield, looking for work so I can pay my bills here, where I do spend my money that goes into taxes and infrastructure. I strongly urge that we move this project forward, opening the door for future projects, planting a seed for growth, technology and innovation should be welcome in a new industry. The people behind me, my union brothers, we're all in support of this. We've all been in the same position. We all pay our taxes here. Pretty much, we like to come home, spend time with our family, instead of being on the road all the time. So, on behalf of all of us, I'm in support, definitely 100%. Thank you.
My name is Christian Salgado. I'm a resident of Calexico. But before I get into the meat and potatoes of my comment, I would like to share that I have experience sitting on advisory boards like this. I sat on for 3 years at the Imperial County Pollution Control District Steering Committee. I understand the bureaucratic process, the staff recommendations, the need to do your due diligence. It's usually boring and not this exciting. And I do have to draw your own conclusions. It's tough. It's part of the checks and balances of democracy. And I do appreciate all the residents. you're not elected officials that take on this huge civic engagement. Even at a young age, I've done it with the hearing board for some time. And I also want to emphasize that today's meeting is, not a conversation about money, jobs. The hardworking individuals, the ones that uphold, Imperial County's industry, the tough jobs, the dirty jobs. I actually got a chance to speak to some of them earlier. And I'm actually glad that they're here today because I do think their concerns echo a favorite issue in our county, around economic restoration and true economic justice. So I do appreciate all the individuals that are speaking up on that topic of jobs. But really what my meat and potatoes part of my comment is here today is, it's straightforward. It's really wanting the county and the planning commission to uphold policy. The subdivision map act, I can go on about that. I can go on about CEQA. I can go on about the state planning and zoning regulations. And I can go on about the county municipal codes about approving this merger. I think it's important that this commission upholds all of these components and does not approve this merger because it does set, I think, a very dangerous precedent moving forward on how we're allowing, today it's just one data center, but any other data center that wants to take up shop in Imperial County. I also want to say with my last time, I'm in absolute awe of Imperial County residents. The CEQA knowledge now the county residents has, it's been quite phenomenal. And their ability to come up here and speak on the behalf of what their concerns are.
Good morning. Good morning. I'm Ryan Dickerson, landowner. I'm in support of the data center. As a landowner, we have property rights. I want to make sure that they're not overlooked. This property has been zoned heavy industrial for more than 40 years. We purchased this property, means it's zoned the way it is. The data center is gonna bring in millions of dollars for our schools. The data center is going to bring in tens of millions to our community. The data center will be the best possible neighbor for this property to offer. In contrast, with these opposing this project, prefer a truck parking there. Hundreds of trucks driving, starting up their trucks day and night, exhaust fumes, lights. Very low tax dollars generated, heavy local traffic to the roads, and not a good neighbor. Again, this is probably the best possible outcome for this property. Morning.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Good morning for all the citizens. My respect for everyone. I feel so proud to belong to this community, and I know that your work is in there, and I live in Imperial, very close to the construction. I respect the construction people because they looking for work. Everyone in the world needs work, and the point is, I'm here because my granddaddy told me, Mama, can you please go and speak out regarding this because against our jobs in the future? And I say, can you explain a little bit because I work in the medical area for 25 years, and I know every single people here ask for the work 12 hours. Last night I'm here to get extra, and I'm sorry for something I was on my work, but the point is, everyone one day will be sick in one hospital bed, and that's no matter the millions you make in your life, and one day you will be in the hospital bed. My point here is, if there's a few people who won't get money from this construction, I don't think so, it's okay. I pay double property tax, and work for pay my property tax, and work really hard for you. I don't wanna sell my house because I will lose too much money in case this construction continues in the valley. The valley is beautiful, the people is beautiful, our community is beautiful. And when you decide work in this position, I don't know nobody of you guys, I just saw in the voicemail picture when you want my vote, and I vote for these people, and I vote for you see that the sheriff for my money, board, and I really pray that you use your brain, use your heart, since the beginning when you wrote.
Good morning, Commissioner.
Morning.
Good morning, Ms. Dunn. I haven't seen you in years. Great to see you on the man. I am William Cooper. I'm the Executive Director of the Becoming Project in California, California. Today I'm here on behalf of the Power Coalition, that's people organizing for wellness and resilience. There has been a lot of things said about development in Imperial County. There was questions about jurisdictions and who to decide what for the residents and who to decide what for the developers. What we all should focus on in Imperial County is something called probative value. How much good is this gonna do against how much harm it could do if not done properly? What the residents are most concerned about is the process in which that you're taking to decide this project. A lot of this information has been done in secrecy. I continuously hear that, oh, this has been known since the beginning of January, not to the residents. We found out about this in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So you get this intense response when people feel like they're being lied to and left in the dark.
Yep.
The next thing is about precedent. The County Board of Supervisors has proven that they are willing to sell any piece of land that a resident is not squatting on. It doesn't leave the residents with any protection, so we look to our commissioners to offer that protection when people are attempting to do development. The truth about data centers is that it requires a lot of water and a lot of energy, and it produces a very little amount of jobs. I understand the unions and their need for jobs. I live in Imperial County, we always need jobs. But this is not a long-term solution to our long-term problems. Talk about schools impact fees, that's a one-term thing. This data center will be there for 50 years. You talk about the jobs that'll be available. Those jobs will be available for 2 years, and you'll have 20. What does that do for the 33,000 people that are out of work in Imperial County? Probative value. I heard that this is the best possible use for that area. I challenge that. It's a million different things that we are doing in Imperial County that can have a larger and greater effect on this community. In IBC, everybody is taking, graphic design. There's no production studios, but that's the fastest growing place inside Imperial County, so why aren't you building that? I heard checking boxing, this is checking boxes. This is our county doing what they always do. They sell out all of our long-term interests for short-term gain for a very small amount of people. I'm asking you to not approve this development today, because that's not what you stand for, it's not what you elected for, and it's not what we need you for. Thank you, have a great day.
I do.
This data center hogs enough electricity and water to supply electricity to an entire city. How on God's earth is this okay? It's not. Furthermore, because this facility would hog so much water and electricity, our electricity bills and water bills are gonna go up, and you can't tell me it's not, because supply and demand makes a difference. The affected homes, Victoria Ranch, Posada de Sol, courtyard condominiums that are still being constructed. Victoria Ranch is still constructing. An elementary school is being constructed still. You have Cross Elementary. You guys have to remember, these are our homes.
Yeah.
You are taking this away from us.
Can you keep it down, or we're gonna take a break? Go ahead.
I'm trying to come down. The largest facility, AI data center in Virginia. The residents there constantly, 24/7 hear humming, loud noises. This is every day. That's not including the generators when they have to be kicked in. These generators are huge. And you imagine the humming on top of the generators? Come on. You know, I'm telling you this because these people, this is what they're suffering through right now in Virginia. The residents there are experiencing loud humming
which restricts their sleep, walls vibrating, their windows rattling.
Time.
Okay, just let me close with this. Remember when you first bought your first home, how it felt to hold that key? I leave you with that, and God, I ask you all to please reach in your hearts and remember that.
Okay, my first question is Betsy. Good morning, Rudy. How you doing? We're neighbors, so I'm familiar. The thing that really jumped out at me is a Sika exemption. Now, how you can say that that land use is not going to be any different than what it was before, I just don't get it. I mean, it's been fallow for years, right? It's been what it is. It's not been a problem. It's not been an issue. Whatever you zoned it for before, this is what it's been. It's not ever been anything different. The environmental concerns are extensive. The record of electrical increase is 13% across the country. There are approximately 5,400 AI data centers in this country. It's not like there's a shortage. The environmental concerns that we have are getting worse by the second. Okay, I drove to work. I drove in here today. You drove in here today. When you look at the air that you're breathing, 9 days out of 10, I mean, look at the air you're breathing. You can't see the hill, you can't see Mount Signal. I drove up to the fountain a couple of days ago. Horrific. My mother has a place at the Fountain of Youth that she stays in. It is abysmal, the air quality that we're dealing with. I've got a son that's got asthma, got migraines as a result of it, been lifelong, basically. Everybody knows what we've been dealing with in our environmental concerns. You cannot tell me that this isn't an absolute thing. I feel for the union guys. My husband's an electrician. The reason you don't have work in this valley is because they don't want to pay your wages. Period. Serious, guys. My husband was trained by the union. IBEW is a good thing. Unions are a good thing. But the people who don't want to cooperate with the unions and the benefits you need and need to have employment in this valley are not helping you. They are not helping you. You've got okay, I Googled it, right? The platform, the main brain behind this whole organization is Google. Those are the ones supporting this. About an overview of what the AI data centers do to the communities that they have been dealing with. Well, it ain't good. I guarantee you the problems that they have are standard environmental, the power, the water, the pollution, the absolute degradation of the area that's around them. You've got the one in Memphis. They chose the poorest community, the black community, and set it up. Now what are they going to do? It's already done. There's not anything that's working in the favor of these communities after it's built. You're talking employment? Yeah, maybe 2 years of good employment, and they're going to import most of it down here. Yeah. Locals are locals, unions are unions. They bring them in from wherever they need. It's what it is. Okay, so you've got this problem, and how many jobs are we going to have afterwards? I heard, and like I said, I Googled it. AI overview of this product after it's occurred. The jobs that will be permanent are maybe several dozen. Several dozen. I'm down, I know, and I'm really, I'm so upset with this because it's been pushed through like many things have. The quantitative water agreements, yeah, remember that? We lost our water there too.
Good morning, Chair and Planning Commission. My name is Shelby Trim, and I'm the Executive Director of the Coalition of Labor, Ag, and Business in Imperial County. We're a nonprofit organization that represents about 200 local businesses here in the county. I'm here today to express COLAB's strong support for the proposed lot merger. We view this merger as a responsible and necessary planning step that helps consolidate parcels into a unified site, providing clarity and consistency for responsible future development. This action supports economic growth, job creation, and infrastructure investment in Imperial County that we so desperately need. It also reflects sound land use planning by allowing property to be developed efficiently and in alignment with existing regulations. COLAB also strongly supports private landowner rights and the ability of landowners to improve and develop their property in a responsible manner. Lot mergers like this respect those rights while also ensuring orderly planning and long-term community benefit. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Good morning, department members.
My name is Reina Adame. I live right across Hayden Road where the data center is supposed to be built. My main thought for you guys, especially since it was you guys, from my understanding, that approved this, is that this plan to build a data center right next to our home in the middle of Imperial is one of the most short-sighted endeavors you guys could engage in. You guys call this economic development, but the IID's own data shows the dangers. The district's total summer peaking capacity is about 1,177 megawatts, yet this data center that you guys are entertaining will request alone 1,000 megawatts. So you are willing to risk grid strain and potential higher electric rates for us residents just to please an outside corporation. I can speak for myself on a personal level that this data center, if it's built, I hope it's not, is that every time I pass by it, I'll be reminded of the selfishness and the complicity of my local government and their willingness to sell out our community. There will be a giant concrete symbol of your weakness, of your carelessness about the public's health, and your willingness to allow the blessings of the Imperial Valley to be exploited by the highest bidder. This valley has many blessings, the land and the water, right? So the reason why this data center is being built here is the exact same reason why the Abadi family and 20 other farming entities consume half of the IID's water allotment, right? The Abadi is used enough water for all of Las Vegas, that city, right? So, and they grow crops, if you look at the agriculture reports, the main crops you grow are hay and alfalfa, right? Water intensive crops, we already have a water guzzling economy here, and then on top of that, we from the QSA, the QSA, we determine wastewater. We call it conserved water, and we start selling that to San Diego for $730 per acre for water, and the rate here for the farmers is artificially kept low at $20. And this data center is going to be a new example, a new form of this rentier economy that we have here. Which a rentier economy means an economy based on extracting value from public resources, water and land, where water specifically is holding public trust, right? And you're going to allow private individuals to accumulate wealth from this public resource that should be benefiting the community, right? This economic setup that we have in the valley is somewhat hidden. Not everyone knows about the full extent of agricultural economy here that I believe, and many of us believe, that it keeps the valley artificially poor while it's let you stay rich. But I fear for y'all's sake that the data center will be the catalyst for people to start doing their research and learning about the political economy of the valley and why so many people in this county and the whole valley, right, feel that they're being screwed over, right? You guys are screwing us all over right now by attempting to build this data center the way you're trying to do so, right? Behind our backs, but there's no more hiding now, right? The people of the valley have a right to know about the data center, its risk, its benefits, if there is any, right? And with that knowledge, they have the right to say no to the data center. The people of the valley deserve way more than this. Thank you.
Good morning, Commissioners. Timothy Kelly, Imperial Valley Economic Development Corporation. I would first of all just like to make a comment. I'd like to thank Mr. Sebastian Rushi. This is the first time I've ever seen him in public, first time I've ever met him. First time I ever talked to him was yesterday on the phone. I wonder why. I've been working on this project for over a year, and he didn't even know about it. I started off by working with the County of Imperial to develop an economic development strategic plan in which data centers were identified, finding the right locations that were suitable for data centers because of the zoning, because of the infrastructure that was in place, the transmission, the natural gas. We went out and we marketed those properties across the nation and across the globe. People are looking at the Imperial County. The industry clusters that were identified were agribusiness, manufacturing, warehousing, and logistics. There is actually a plan. The county adopted that plan. My job is to go out and actually market that plan. This is the plan that was put in place with the public sector and the private sector together that said this is what we want. Go out and bring it here. Go out and bring it here. And then we bring it here and this is what we hear.
Yeah.
People that were participating were our union members.
All right, keep it down out there, or we're gonna go to break, and this can take all day.
Do better. Do better.
5-minute break, is that what you want?
Yeah.
Okay, 5-minute break.
Shame! Shame! Shame!